Hello, I'm Danny the Rubber Duck Killer Shotfire, a reformed criminal, and I was a big deal back in the late 90s. Today I'm going to do a reading from my new book, which should be up there in the top corner, as I speak, one of them. And if it ain't, I'll cut your tongue out of a rusty razor, you'll be moving to the bottom of a canal, and you'll be going home in a crate. My new book is called I Heart Murder, but I don't do that anymore. You notice this duck? Huh? Its name is Psycho Duck Danny Jr. and back then everybody all over Essex knew who it was and the extent of his capabilities. I couldn't walk into a shop with it round my neck without people rapidly hiding behind the counters, reaching for that panic button. Heavy. Anyway, that's enough of this chit chat. Here's my reading. And if you don't buy my book, me, you and the duck are going to have real problems involving large quantities of blood loss.
Hey, how you doing, everyone? Thanks for coming. Sorry about the face nappy, got to wear it. Apparently you ain't though, but I'm Danny, the Rubber Duck Killer Shotfire. I'm a reformed criminal, and this is a reading from my new book, I Heart Murder. Here we go. I was born in Rush Green Hospital, Romford, shithole. I hated my dad from the second I was born. I wish I could buy a time machine and travel back to the night I was conceived. I'd kill him. My first toy was a teddy called Charlie. That didn't last long. Growing up, I wanted to whack everyone. Nothing's changed. I remember at the age of 6, I was in the school playground and the other kids were playing football whilst I sat on a picnic bench mending my meat cleaver. The headmaster tried to confiscate it from me, so I headbutted him in the groin, and then I made him eat a wheelbarrow full of stinging nettles until his stomach foamed up like a bottle of Moe. He didn't fuck with me again. The kids in my year at primary school left with manners and an 11 plus certificate. I left with a bag full of felt tip pens and an overhead projector. The police chased me out the school gates, but I threw a petrol bomb at their Mondeo. They shit themselves. I smoked a massive spliff the size of Italy and laughed in their dead faces. My life was complete.
Right, we're coming into Southend now. As you can see, hammering it down with rain. This place is an absolute dive. Coming up a little bit further here on the right is the first boozer that I ever got served alcohol in. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 8 years old. I bowled in there on my own. People didn't know who I was because I didn't have the duck back then. Did not have the duck. Couple of people recognised me from local bank jobs, but that was about it really. Couple of people started piping up, picking up snooker cues, giving it the lemon or the billy. I thought, no, I'll have none of that. One guy in particular at the bar going nuts. So anyway, I turned around, walked straight out to the payphone, ring me mate Mickey Bugle, didn't I? Mick, I says, come down there with a Phillips head, I need to fix someone. Within 5 minutes, he'd bolted down in his Ferrari. I went straight back into that pub and I stuck that screwdriver straight up that man's bumhole. Straight up. I wriggled it around for about 15, 16 minutes, something like that. He was on the floor and I found out later on that he can't go to the toilet anymore. He can only do, he can't do number twos. So every time he sneezes, poo comes out his nose. Bit of a rare one. But that's the way we do. I mean, this is Southend, so it happens. You know what I mean?
When I was 14, I went into the woods to bury some jewellery I'd nicked in a heist. I dug a hole about half a mile into the ground and I spotted this yellow rubber duck partly submerged in soil looking at me. I thought, I'll have some of that. As I was burying the diamonds and getaway car, a nosy dog walker comes past and sticks his unwanted oar right into my business. Lovely day, isn't it, boy, he said. What a cunt. I got right up in his face and went, what did you say? He repeated himself. I wasn't impressed. I said, not for you it ain't, and pelted him square in the boat with a duck. A phrase you don't hear every day. It weren't the best start to the dog walker's day. Dead by 7:30 in the morning. I loved it. I put him in the hole and the dog continuously barked at my side. I booted it in the face because I'm seriously hard. He never barked again. I named my new friend Psycho Duck Danny Jr. and to this day we're still the best of friends. The amount of blood on my hands and his beak could save the population of a capital city in transfusions if it was blown up. I'm not kidding.
Right, sorry darling, we just got to make a quick pit stop, me and the duck. Been waiting for the books to come through for 2 weeks, they still ain't come in, so got golf club in the boot, gonna shoot round there in the motor and open him up. I think it's here. Is that one there? Right, keep the motor running. If you see the old bill, floor it. Right, floor it. He won't be breathing for long.
In the late 90s, I was 17 years old. I had 12 murders under my belt, but I wanted more. I was hungry to inflict pain on everyone. This is when it went wrong. I went into my local off licence and I wanted beer double lively. I threw 12 crates of Stella on the counter and the cashier asked me for ID. She must have been mentally ill. I was livid. I said, "You know who I am, darling?" Then she clocked the duck round my neck. I said, "Give me everything free or I'll glass your lungs." She said, "I'm sorry, Danny, I didn't realise it was you. Would you like all my money in my house?" Then she tipped her purse upside down on the counter. It was going well. Then someone from outside the postcodes I run bowls into the shop like he had permission on my turf. I saw red. I went totally bonkers. I ripped the duck off my chest, placed it between my fingers and forced the fella's eyes into the back of his skull. I was buzzing. I'd never been this happy before. As the claret rushed down the side of his cheeks, I noticed his police badge. I had to get out of there quick sharp. I yanked the duck out of his left eye and jumped in his motor. I threw on the blues and tore through Lee Broadway like Lewis Hamilton on ecstasy. Doing 147 mile an hour in a 30 zone can be considered dangerous, but not to me. It wasn't fast enough. I mowed down pedestrians like Skittles with a pirate radio blasting out the Baconmobile. Everything was perfect. But then, Psycho Duck Danny Jr. flew off the front seat and under the brake pedal just as I was about to make violent impact with the back of a bus. Too late. Smash. Everyone on the bus died, but I shot through the windscreen and landed 4 miles away on a bouncy castle. That was a touch. I only had minor damages, a missing shoulder and 2 broken legs, but I just walked it off. Next thing I know, the old Bill were entering the Playboy mansion using the big red key. They'd only gone and got my fingerprints off the duck. Fuck's sake. I roundhouse kicked one officer in the nose so hard his head instantly became detached from his body. Another one I chained to a bed in my torture chamber and played Right Said Fred I'm Too Sexy on a loop for a month. He killed himself. The army were brought in and fired a cannon into my belly at point blank range. It winded me. They'd got me.
So yeah, long story short, he goes to me, "Are they pants on your head?" I said, "You what, son?" I said, "This is a hat." I said to him he should have gone to that place that sells spectacles at a discount price. You know, that fucking eyeballs for you, whatever it is. Anyway, I slapped him, end of. All that claret on the end of my club. Not happy.
So I'm in the dock at Basildon Magistrates Court for 22 counts of murder, theft, drug dealing, manslaughter, careless driving, public order, GBH, ABH, HMV and animal mistreatment of a duck. I called on a bent solicitor, bunged him a brown envelope full of reddies, but it was game over. I was in Chelmsford Nick doing a 20 stretch. Good news though, I got my duck back. On the first day I killed 5 screws in an escape, but when I got to the airport completely undetected, I realised I'd forgotten the Psycho Duck Danny Jr. I couldn't live without it. Then I slipped up. I was too emotional and I couldn't think straight. I went back to the prison and asked the front desk if anyone had handed in a yellow duck. She recognised me from the news and the warden's head under my arm. I learned a lot in Her Majesty's pleasure. I was shown how to make biscuits in the shape of snooker tables, and I fashioned a 12-foot samurai sword out of a discarded drain pipe. Murder was back on the cards. Business as usual. The rush was on. After 20 years in jail, they suddenly let me out scot-free. Now I'm reformed. I go to church. I appreciate nature. But that burning desire is still there deep within. If anyone pushes my buttons again, I worry I'll bite their face off and leave them with a toe tag and a trademark duck-shaped hole in their pancreas. Let's hope not. Don't fuck with me or you'll without question die. If you don't want to be posted to your family in the form of a jigsaw puzzle, leave me alone. You'd be wise. I now work in a wild bean cafe at a petrol station. My new hobby is watching long queues develop, then close the tills. What a life. The end.